Greetings everyone, and welcome back to Student Tech Tips. My name is Togoza, and this week we're going to be talking about which laptop to buy and what should actually go into your mind when deciding on the laptop to buy. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, before we begin, in the description below I'll have timestamps to the different sections that we're talking about. Alright. First thing we're going to look at is the processor. Processor is the brains of the computer. Most computers you're going to come across out there are going to be Intel, going to have Intel processors. So that's what you're going to focus on. So at the entry level of Intel processors, you're going to find the Intel Celeron, Intel Inside, Intel Pentium. So how do you find out what kind of a laptop? Well, first thing that you're going to have to look for is on the base of the computer. Usually there's a blue sticker. So that blue sticker will have, the name of the processor or the kind of processor it has. So either Intel Inside, Intel Celeron, Intel Pentium. So that's the first thing you will see, or it's the first way of identifying the kind of processor that laptop has. Alright. So after that, you're gonna find the Intel i3. So now we get into the bit more power. So the higher you go, the more power you get, or the more performance you get. So you have an i3, and then from i3 you have an i5. From i5 you have an i7, and now recently there is now an i9 also. Okay. So also the higher you go, the more expensive it's gonna get. So if you're on a budget, that's what you need to consider. Alright. So processors. Next thing we need to consider about processors is they usually have different speeds. The entry level processors, they're obviously going to be slower, and as you go to i3, i5, i7, i9, those are going to become faster and faster. So the speed of a processor is measured in gigahertz. So the higher the gigahertz, the higher the performance. Another thing to look for, depending on what you're going to do, is the number of cores in that laptop or in that processor. So the cores are essentially, think of it as having two brains in one head. You see? So in that way it's able to do multiple things and multitask. It also depends on the kind of workload that you're going to be doing. So maybe research on that, or let me know if you want me to talk on that also. But if you're just going to be doing your basic internet browsing and opening emails, the number of cores aren't really gonna matter much. Alright, moving away from processors, what we're gonna talk about now is the RAM. So what the RAM is a storage medium. So storage mediums, we've got RAM and hard disk and SSD. So with the RAM, it's a storage medium, it's a temporary storage medium that the computer uses to store things temporarily. So while it's running, so while you've got a Chrome tab open, all that information is stored up in the RAM. So the RAM is, since it's storage, it is measured in gigabytes. So normally you find RAM in either 2 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes, and so on. But most entry-level laptops or laptops that will come with Intel Celeron will usually have, previously they usually came with 2 gigabytes, but now they're coming in with 4 gigabytes. That helps, so that you're able to multitask and do multiple things at the same time without your computer slowing down. After that, you find, the i3s and i5s and i7s, they start to upgrade a bit and start having 8 gigs, 16 gigs, and so on, depending on the level that you're buying at and your budget also. Alright. So the more RAM you have, the more you're able to multitask. Next thing we're going to talk about is the storage medium. So that's where you store your files permanently. So the most traditional means, or the most common one that you're going to find, is the hard drive. So the hard drive, so there's the hard drive and there's an SSD. The hard drive is a mechanical drive, so it means it depends on mechanical components to work, which is the downside of it, which causes it to be slower than an SSD. An SSD has no moving parts, so everything is electrical, so everything moves at the speed of electricity inside when you are reading and writing files. So an SSD is going to be faster than a hard drive, but the downside is the SSDs are usually more expensive than a hard drive, comparing size to size, you see. But most of the time what you're going to find is the hard drive. So when you're buying around and you see an option with an SSD, definitely go for it. Okay, before I continue now, just to give a disclaimer, this is just my opinion on what I'm going to talk about, and it's, this opinion is largely based on what I've come across and my experience and everything. Alright, so I've had a number of Intel Celeron or Intel Inside computers, and they usually find in the first few weeks and few months, when you're using it. But as time goes on, as the number of things that you do on it increase, it tends to get slow and start hating your laptop. So my opinion or my preference, especially looking at the prices, because currently, like right now, or recently, when you're looking for an Intel Celeron or just your entry-level laptop, brand new from the box, it's very hard to find something that is around 3,000 or less, or even just a bit more. What you're gonna find now is 4,000 and above, between 4,000 and 5,000 for an Intel Celeron or an entry-level laptop. And for me, that is just way too much money for the hassle it's gonna give you down the road. So what I prefer, okay, so the entry level is around those price ranges. So maybe if you can, let's just say maybe you've got a budget of, if you have a budget of, maybe $6,000 or so, there you can start getting your i3s, and put in a bit more, you get your i5, put in a bit more, you get an i7. But also depending on your workload and what you want to do. Some people might just want to do some light work. Some people might want to play games or do video editing or making music. So research also that the kind of work that you're going to do. But the advice that I'm going to give is for someone who's just going to be doing light stuff in a way, but they want a dependable laptop. So you want a dependable laptop and you're on a budget. Intel Celeron, Intel Inside, entry-level laptops is a no-no, but I would not recommend that. Rather, what I would recommend is buying a second-hand, either i3 or i5. You can get either of those between the price ranges of 2.5 and above, and you get a pretty decent computer that you can use for a long time and be able to multitask and do different things that you would not be able to do, if you had bought an Intel Celeron computer, with your 4,000 rands. And if you go second hand, you've also got some extra change. Alright. So to prove that to you, I use a second-hand laptop that I bought sometime around the beginning of last year. It's a second gen i3, from I think it's like from 2011 or so. And so far, it's a decision that I do not regret, and I'm very happy with it. Obviously buying second-hand is gonna come with its challenges. On my side, the challenges that I've come across was, I think, only the charger. I think after some time the charger just gave up, and I had to buy another charger for 250 or 300, I can't remember exactly. But looking at that, I still haven't spent that much amount of money. It still actually even hasn't reached up to the money that I would spend if I was buying an entry-level laptop brand new from the shop. Alright, that's it from me today, and I'll catch you next week. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like, and share the videos if you feel that someone might benefit from it. Thank you.